Mark my words, the upcoming live-action adaptation of Disney's The Little Mermaid will be a cultural reset. Like, it'll be freaking awesome. So in this video, I'll be talking about why I'm extremely excited for this movie and think it'll be more special and hype-worthy than your average Disney live-action adaptation. Also, just a note, the movie hasn't started filming yet, but every role has been cast for a while now. Disney delayed shooting the film for over a year, but they should be getting started again in January 2021, so we're getting close to getting some content. So the most prevalent talking point regarding this movie is its refreshing, exciting, and surprising casting choices. The casting for this movie is a mixture between suitably obvious choices that are traditional and straightforward, like Melissa McCarthy as Ursula, Jonah Hauer-King as Prince Eric, and Jacob Tremblay as Flounder, and then more fresh, interesting, contemporary choices that are initially jarring to see, but stay very faithful to the spirit and the energy of the original characters, like Halle Bailey as Ariel and Awkwafina as Scuttle. If you would have told me 3 years ago that Disney would cast a black actress to play the definitive live-action Ariel, I would have thought you were clinically insane. I mean, Disney is quite protective over the images of their characters because their characters make so much money via merchandise and theme parks, and while they often flirt with progressive ideas in their movies, they still play it pretty safe to satisfy most audiences. So to cast a black actress as one of their most iconic, beloved, lucrative characters and Disney princesses, one who is always viewed as being a Caucasian character, is quite a bold move. Because I certainly know a lot of people who hear that a black girl is playing Ariel and they immediately deem it an outrage without putting any more thought into it. But if we're ever as a society gonna evolve into having thoughtfulness be the norm, then entertainment outlets need to see their platforms as a responsibility to provoke thought and discussion. And a huge company like Disney doing something like this is huge, especially because they're a company that does tend to play it safe and appeal to as many people as possible without provoking socially complex polarization, because that might be a risk that costs them money. But society is progressing and Disney sees an opportunity to take a stance to push the world forward. Okay, you may be wondering why this is such a big deal and why it's worthy of support and admiration. Well, before I get into the socially important stuff, I just want to encourage you to put your prejudices aside and think of the character of Ariel. What defines her? For one, her incredibly beautiful, powerful, yet gentle singing voice that is just otherworldly. Her wondrous spirit, her youthful energy, her innocence, these are all intrinsic qualities to the character, and according to director Rob Marshall, this is why Halle Bailey was cast in the role. She possesses the essential attributes that make up the character of Ariel, and if you just look at her and listen to her sing and watch her interviews, this girl radiates Ariel energy more so than any other actress I could possibly think of, and therefore she is the most capable to genuinely, authentically bring the character to life. Like, Disney could have just slapped a red wig on Hailee Steinfeld and called it a day and nobody would bat an eye, and while she would have been fine in the role, she certainly doesn't have that exact wavelength of energy or spirit to really make us feel as if Ariel has come to life. Nor does she have that Jodie Benson type of voice. But Halle Bailey truly embraces, encompasses, and radiates that Ariel vibe. So it's really not just gimmick casting. She truly is the best for the role, and to further build on that, I think she looks like Ariel. Just the facial structure and feature placement and bright, wonder-filled eyes, pointy chin, fairy nose, etc., etc. She objectively looks more like Ariel than someone like Hailee Steinfeld does, yet Steinfeld would be a more universally accepted choice for the role because of her white skin. Halle is only a few shades darker than the animated Ariel, so it's not like it's a drastic change, unless you're an absolute purist, in which case I hope you were also just as upset with Lily James having brown eyes when she played Cinderella, even though animated Cinderella's eyes are blue, or that Naomi Scott, who is half white, played Princess Jasmine, even though she is way lighter than the animated Jasmine. Not only this, but when you think of these Disney live-action adaptations and what their endgame should be, they should be adapting these more simple, beloved animated movies that have been around for decades into grand, modern, complex live-action blockbusters that adjust to the demands of live action and what works best for the medium. as well as adjust to contemporary sensibilities and how the world has evolved since the original animated movies were released. When you think of how the Disney animated classic The Little Mermaid should be when translated into a more detailed, complex, nuanced, sophisticated live-action world in the 2020s, it only makes sense to have this visually tropical, Caribbean-influenced film that is filled with calypso-style music and a Jamaican crab to be a bit more reflective of its cultural influences. It just makes it all a bit more rich and layered, and it also just brings an exciting new flavor to it. Like, it's still the same Ariel we all know and love, but with another dimension added to her. And it lets kids of all colors feel represented and validated by seeing that their favorite Disney character can also look like them. Having a darker shade of skin is not a gigantic difference, and it's important to acknowledge how society has treated those differences, but the differences themselves are not huge. I could go on and on about this casting, and I go a bit more in depth about it in another video I made, so you can check that out. But yeah, aside from Halle Bailey as Ariel, Awkwafina as Scuttle may also sound like a major departure, but it's really not. If you've seen Awkwafina in anything else, you just know it works, and you know she's gonna kill it as the loudmouth, know-it-all seagull who actually doesn't know much at all, and she'll also bring something fresh to it. It's the best of both worlds with choices like this. You get the character brought to life, but with a new dimension added to them, and they're balanced out with more safe choices like Melissa McCarthy, who I've seen fan casted as Ursula for years, as well as Jonah Hauer-King as Eric, who I've suggested for the role in the past. Believe me, we're gonna feel as if we're seeing the classic we love in real life, but with so many exciting, fresh nuances and additions that just get me so much more pumped for this movie. I mean, just imagine what this thing might look like. And that leads me to another point I want to cover. This is going to be the most visually exciting, technologically groundbreaking Disney live-action adaptation. Live-action movies like Cinderella and Aladdin could have been made whenever, but the filmmaking technology required to convincingly pull off The Little Mermaid hasn't been available till now. And it's going to be so interesting to see how they approach it because half of the movie is set underwater. I'm guessing they're going to go with a similar approach to what was done with Aquaman, but even more elevated and polished and impressive. This is a perfect opportunity to push the boundaries of filmmaking technology and what we're capable of seeing in movies. The adaptations of The Jungle Book and The Lion King sort of broke new ground with their technological approaches, but The Little Mermaid is capable of leaving them in the dust. Just think about it. You not only have mermaids swimming underwater in a stunning mermaid kingdom, but they have to convincingly speak and sing, and then there's all the sea creatures and the fish that also have to speak and sing while looking photorealistic. I mean, they have to make a singing crab with a Jamaican accent look as realistic as possible, so it's going to be quite the task. And then Ursula with all those tentacles and the musical sequences, and there'll probably be some additional scenes that really flex the technology in an impressive, exciting way. And I just also am dying to see how the characters' costumes and settings will look. There's just too much potential to make this thing magical and stunning, so hopefully they don't disappoint. The filmmaking crew behind the film does seem promising. I mean, everyone in each department has had a few misses in the past, but I have a good feeling about it. Director Rob Marshall is known for directing Chicago, Memoirs of a Geisha, Into the Woods, one of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, and Mary Poppins Returns. So he's a solid director who sometimes doesn't totally stick the landing, but he's used to doing big films, musicals, Disney movies, and he even was nominated for an Oscar, so we should just relax. And the movie better be good because they've had an extra year of prep time before shooting because of the current state of the world. They were supposed to start filming in early 2020 and even already recorded all the songs for the film, but right before they began shooting, they had to shut it down because of Miss Rona. The plan is to start filming in London by January 2021. An extra year is a lot of time to make sure the script is perfect, the performances are pristine, the technological approach is flawless, and every single aspect of the film is thought through with great detail. There are no excuses at this point for this film to be anything other than fantastic. And in this huge stretch of time, I hope they've had at least a few creative epiphanies that they wouldn't have had if they already began shooting. Creative epiphanies that'll make the film that much better. So, in conclusion, I have strong reason to believe this film will frickin' slap, and it'll be a stunning celebration of Disney's legacy with The Little Mermaid, bringing everything we love about the iconic animation to life, but providing a new dimension that includes exciting expansions and extreme freshness, so we get the ultimate balance of old and new.